Hi, I'm Raye Zaragoza, and you're listening to f28studio.com. Wow, that's a really good question. Sometimes it's hard to really remember that and answer that because you get so wrapped up in what everyone else is saying, and sometimes you can your identity sometimes is in the hands of others when you're an artist, and that can get hard to deal with. And sometimes you just have to keep remembering and meditating and grounding yourself in your art and in writing. That's why I have to keep writing consistently, because when I'm touring, it's like you're playing over and over and over again, and a lot of times the artistry is living in the live performance and in what everyone else is saying about it. For me, I have to keep writing to keep grounded and remember who I am and what I think of myself. And honestly, I embrace being really, showcased as like a protest songwriter or as a, like a political writer. I think that's great because so many of the artists I've looked up to my whole life have also been pegged as political or protest songwriters, like Bob Dylan or Joan Baez, and I really look up to them. And so while I do appreciate it and I like it, it's definitely not all I have to offer, and I write songs about everything. I write love songs, I write songs that are just about a landscape or about something happy. Not everything is political commentary, but it means a lot to me that those songs are the ones that have gotten the most attention and that people have said very kind things about. Yeah, well, honestly, it was one of those things that I didn't see coming. I didn't really plan on that song just being so. It was almost like for lack of better words, like I was sick and I had to get this song out of my system, and it was the morning that the videos of the dogs being released onto water protectors was surfacing online, and I had been aware of what was happening at Standing Rock for months, and I've been corresponding with my friends who live up in the Dakotas and asking what can I do. I was just very at a loss of how I could help, and that morning when I saw those videos, it just was a last straw for me, and I had this shift in myself of I'm gonna do something. Doing anything is going to be better than doing nothing. So what can I do? And I think while I was sitting in that feeling, I wrote the song. At first, I started writing a really angry song. I can't even remember how it goes, but it was just angry about what's happening. And I realized that it wasn't making me feel better to write that song. And really what I wanted was to feel better because I was really so distressed about what was happening. Yeah. And so then I kind of just kept sitting in that feeling, and then I wrote In the River. And In the River, it's not an angry song. It really is a genuine plea, a genuine question of why are you doing this? What are you accomplishing? We have our children to look after, and we're poisoning our waters, There's gotta be some hope. And so to me, it just came down to that root and that question. And I wrote that song super quickly, within 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. And then I felt better. Yeah.
You think with a song that's kind of that deep, it would take a week.
You would think, but a lot of times, honestly, most of my songs that I've had the most, the strongest reactions are the songs I've written quickest, because I think I didn't write it. If it takes me a long time to write, I'm starting to go into my head. I'm starting to think about what's going to make this song good, what's going to make this song connect with people. But if it's a quick song, it usually means that it's coming from a very genuine place and that it was already living inside of me, and now it's just living in a material song form. But yeah, so within the river, then I felt better, and I had this thought, if this song made me feel better writing it, maybe if I share it, it'll make other people feel better, because we're going through a crisis right now, and I may not know exactly how to solve it, but I think I can help, one, bring people together who are feeling the same way, and two, maybe make them feel a little bit better. And with that, when we feel better, we start finding each other, and then I made a little video with my brother, me and my brother, just over the course of 3 days, recorded the song, made a video, put it up on Facebook, and overnight it had hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah, it blew up.
Yeah. Both. Definitely both. I think more so at ease. I think more so it made me feel better. But also, it was a long process, because about half of the songs were written very close to the genesis of the album. But the other half I had written over the course of 5 years. And they were kind of just my favorite songs out of all the songs I had written in this kind of coming of age, early 20s time in my life. And so that's why there's a lot of songs that are of a political nature, but there's also some other songs really more just about finding yourself. And it kind of, for me and my journey as an artist and a songwriter, I realized that my journey figuring out how to use my voice as an activist was just parallel with finding myself. And I always was the activist. I always was the songwriter meant to write these songs, but it just took that coming of age of myself to realize, wait, I can access all parts of my heart, all parts of my soul, all parts of my passion and tension, and put it into my music. I don't have to be afraid to speak my truth in my songs. I don't have to be afraid that people aren't going to accept me for who I am. I was like, screw it, this is who I am. I'm outspoken. I'm going to say what I want, and take it or leave it. I remember being on the playground when I was in the 3rd grade and having headphones on. I always had a Walkman and headphones on all the time. I was that kid, I was always that kid. I always had a Walkman, headphones on, and a notebook. I was always writing poetry and always listening to music, and always really listening though. When I was a kid, I would listen to a song and say, what made this a good song? And then sometimes I would not harmonize. I would make up my own melodies during the instrumental breaks of songs. And oh, this is how I would do the melody if this was my song, But I was on the playground in the 3rd grade, and I remember thinking to myself so clearly, I remember this clear as day, thinking to myself, writing a song is the coolest thing anyone could ever do. That's just what was in my head. But it took me a decade after that to actually start writing songs.
Did you just pick up a guitar and just start?
So I started playing guitar in the 7th grade, and I started playing guitar because I had a crush on a guy in my class who played guitar, and I thought that if I played guitar, he would like me. But for the first 5 years, I was learning cover songs and playing Avril Lavigne songs and Queen songs, very similar artists now. And I had a little cover band when I was 13 and stuff, and we always performed, because I've been performing my whole life in musical theater and stuff like that. But I hated singing other people's songs, in musical theater. Oh, learn this. I hated learning songs. I still hate learning songs. Every time someone's learn this cover song, I'll start learning it, and then 20 minutes go by, I totally black out, and I just wrote another song with the same chords of that cover song. I think it's just where my attention span is, or where my brain's at, but the whole creation and the ownership and the control of being a singer-songwriter has always been in my blood. It's been everything to me my whole life, but it's always kind of been in these little pieces, and then finally I pieced it all together, and I was like, whoa, this is what I'm supposed to do, duh. Yeah, what was I thinking before? So the writing, and then the being obsessed with music my whole life, and then almost always wanting to have full control, like an entrepreneur, you know, like I think as artists we are entrepreneurs, and so all those things were things I loved my whole life, and it just took a little while for me to figure out that they all go together.